Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Grandmaster Shaman, and today I'm going to do a really quick run through of some of the E3 stuff going on today and my kind of reactions to it. I just found this out. I just got home from work and I sat down and I'm like, "Oh yeah, E3 was today. Let's go check out some of the stuff that happened." And then my mind was blown, so I obviously have to say something about this because if anybody knows me, my interest in Greek mythology and stuff is insane. Like, I mean, I've owned the entire Percy Jackson series. Greek mythology is something that I'm, very in tune with and something that I like a lot. And now we have this. Now, if anybody has seen it already, you know what it is, but I have not seen this trailer yet. All I know is that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is confirmed, and it is set in. Well, I mean, I think the word Odyssey makes it all well apparent, you know, what time period this is set in, and um, from the one or two pictures that I have seen, he's wearing Trojan armor, so I'm assuming that this is right after the fall of Greece, when ancient Rome and the Roman Empire starts to come into things. But that's all I know for certain. So we're just gonna go into this real quick. I'm really excited. Man,
How can a child save
it
us all
looks so impressive. I'm just
if he's sentenced to die?
oh man,
Tell
I'm
me,
so
Prince.
excited.
Tell me before you let our son go.
I also hear that you can be both a man and a woman in this game, which is just wild. Oh, what?
Where we begin does not
Yo,
define who we will become.
dude, the Roman
Before
Empire.
you,
Is that?
I see a
Oh
path
man, Atlas, right? Isn't that the Atlas thing?
built
Yo.
by friendship and family.
But what's interesting is that
Love,
this is far before Origins.
and
The
bloodshed.
Egyptian Empire came after. Oh, dude. You're gonna have hella shit battles in this game. Tell you that
You were
much.
sent by the gods to protect this world.
Dude. Zeus or Jupiter,
You carry the blade
Neptune.
between us. Act like it.
Damn, dude. This is wild. Dude, he has a Triton.
As you write your odyssey across the mountains and the seas, remember
The jellyfish.
the fall
Wow.
of Greece
Man, look at those
is
graphics. And the statues. Oh man, this is gonna be sweet. I wonder which part of Rome this is gonna be in.
Watch the official gameplay walkthrough.
Dude, this is absolutely crazy to me that this is even a thing, you know? It does leave a little bit of confusion on my part though. I, honest to God, never really played Origins. I didn't really think it was that. I mean, the graphics look cool. Egypt's pretty dope, but I just wasn't all that interested. And of course, I'm gonna buy this one because ancient Italy is just amazing, and it's something that I like a lot about history and whatnot. But I'm kind of confused on how this is gonna work storyline wise, because this is before Origins, and while I admit I have no real idea where or the story that Origins has, Origins I would assume would be there for a reason, you know. And I can't believe we're actually getting Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's just wild to me. I, from what I've heard, I'm not gonna go through the actual gameplay walkthrough, but I've heard that you could choose between either the male character or the female character. Um, in this one, kind of allowing you to um, customize your journey a little bit. I've also been told that, well, I've read on the internet, so I don't know again how true this is, but the potential for choices. And if this game, if you legitimately could choose your own path, that would be it. Like if the Assassin's Creed franchise is revitalized. I honestly thought that Assassin's Creed was kind of dying. The last few games were pretty bad, which is why I didn't buy Origins, even though it looked pretty decent. But still, $60 is $60, and I just didn't know if the game was going to be worth it to spend $60 on. But I mean, obviously, this is gonna take my money and eat it up. Which there's a lot of things, the new Pokemon game, and then while probably not coming out this year, there was the announcement of Elder Scrolls 6, the post Skyrim game. Whether or not it actually is a sequel or some sort of prequel, I don't know yet, but nobody does. But the fact that Elder Scrolls 6 is officially coming out at some point, that it's in the works, it is to the point where they feel like they can release the trailer saying that it's coming, is incredible. And that I'm really excited about. Not so thrilled about the mobile game. Probably not going to deal with it too much. While saying that it's going to have um, graphics as good as you can get on the Xbox or whatever. It's going to depend a lot on your phone and a lot on how much battery you can use. It's kind of like the Pokemon Go thing. Yeah, Pokemon Go was super cool, but when you can only play the game for about an hour and a half before the thing completely shuts down because there's no battery, it negates the point, especially in that case of going around outside. So in this case, you can't. I mean, this game you can sit in your room and play it on your phone, but why do that when you have a console or something? Not to mention, I'm curious to even see if Blades is truly going to be much of anything. Mobile games can't just don't have the capability of being anything extreme. You can't make it on the scale that Skyrim is or anything like that. There's only so much that you can do on a phone without completely maximizing the amount of you know storage space that you can have. But the idea is cool. The idea is pretty interesting. Not gonna really buy it though, because you'll probably have to actually pay for it. Um, the other thing that I saw was the new Halo game, Halo Infinite, which we didn't get a whole lot of either. Um, or at least that's what I was told, was that all we got was a little quick CG cutscene and that was about it. No release date, no nothing about that. I don't have an Xbox, so it's not like I'm going to get Halo, but the fact that it's finally coming out is interesting. I used to play Halo when I was really little. I sucked at it, but back when Halo 2 it was a thing and whatnot. Um, there was that, as well as a new Star Wars game announced by EA set between episodes 3 and 4 should be really interesting. I wonder how many throwbacks they are going to have to the main series, or if, you know, you have to wonder if this is going to be considered canon or not. You know, does EA have like permission from Star Wars to create their own story? Because as soon as they do, if they legitimately create a storyline set between episodes 3 and 4, you have to question whether or not, that's going to be a thing. But I do like the idea. Well, there hasn't been a whole hell of a lot about it. If they can make a legit Star Wars storyline driven game, not like Star Wars Battlefront garbage, but where you are a Jedi or somebody, and you have to go on an adventure through the planets, through all of these different areas for something. You know, kind of like the really old Star Wars games. Shoot, man, I'm the Old Republic or something like that. I think that was the name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But if they could do something like that with the new Star Wars game, that would be awesome. And I think a lot of people really want that because they've been let down with Battlefront, and Battlefront 2 wasn't very good either. You know, again, don't have a Xbox, but the reviews on it were pretty bad. Um, so it should be interesting to see what that is going to be. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the anime fighting game that they had at E3. I don't really know too much about it either, but it does look pretty interesting. Now, I'm not a mainstream anime fan. I wonder if I can pull it up here. Excuse me while I just the anime fighting game E3. There isn't Jump Force. That's what it's called. Trailer. I don't really want to do the game. Well, I mean, oh, so it's like J-Stars 2. That's what it is. Okay, so let's check this out real fast. Let's see what we got here. So, yeah. So there's that garbage show right there. See, that's the problem is I don't like mainstream anime that much. You know, DBZ, One Piece, Bleach, those shows I just can't. Nope. But I'm curious to see if there's anybody else in this game. Like, see, there's this Naruto guy. Though I gotta admit, the graphics are pretty intense. Yo, an American flag? This takes place in our world? That's intense. Naruto versus Frieza. I think that's Frieza, am I right? I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't watch it. And then there's Luffy. Is that it? Those can't be the only characters. It's not just those, like, 3 shows. So far, it looks like there's just, like, 3 shows in this thing. Gotta admit, though, the graphics are hella intense. But if this is J-Stars 2, there's gotta be other stuff here. Like, that one had Gintama, at least, which, I would... Not the greatest fan of, but there's only, like, 4 dudes here. Jump Force. Is that all we get? Yo, Light! No way! Death Note? That's kind of OP, though. If they know their name, like Son Goku, bam! Right? Heart attack, die, you go to the afterlife again? Like, isn't that how it works? Something like that. But maybe I should check out maybe they'll have a few more people in the E3 gameplay crossover thing. I just want to see who they have. I have to admit, though, the graphics on this are absolutely insane. I think it would be pretty good to have it as I gotta wonder if, like, you can play with or against people, probably. But Naruto, Luffy, oh wow. This reminds me of DC, that DC fighting game, whatever it's called. Injustice, there we go. Work in progress footage. Well, obviously. Not, but I mean, this is a work in progress, but damn, these graphics are insane. Like, look at that explosion. I have no idea who's on Frieza's team, though. That's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, who is that guy under Frieza? It's kind of cool that you can go, like, all over this map. Like, crazy amounts. Let's kind of skip a little bit, and then you got, what's that, Spirit Bomb? Isn't that what it's called? Explosion magic. And there's this Luffy guy against Frieza. See, we're not getting very much in terms of, like, characters yet. Which is fair, you know, I'm not gonna judge them on that, but interesting. The graphics look pretty intense, though. But I gotta say that, you know, this is just impressive. It really is. And it's going to depend a lot on the characters in the game for me personally to buy it. But either way, I do think the graphics are pretty intense. And, you know, it's going to depend a lot on storyline and whatnot if they can do that. But before I completely end this off, I do want to talk a quick moment about, of course, something this channel has a lot of, and that is Pokemon. And so, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now, everybody's seen the game already. You know, it's not that much of a surprise, but I did want to talk a little bit about theories and some of the things I find cool and interesting about the game real quick, since we're on a video game related topic, and that is going to be so a lot of people are questioning whether this is a game restart or not, and with the confirmation of a new main series Pokemon game coming out in November of 2019, that seems to be completely negated. Like, no one really believes that that is going to happen anymore, or that this is a complete restart anymore. But I have to admit that I have some things that I really like about the game and things that I don't like about the game. And something that I didn't really think about is the multiplayer. So at first I was like, oh, that's really cool. They have multiplayer. That's pretty awesome. But then I thought about it for a minute and I watched a couple of, you know, the famous Pokemon YouTubers talk about it. And then I was like, you know, this isn't all that cool. I mean, think about it. It's like, can you imagine Call of Duty saying, you know what, we're not going to have online multiplayer anymore? You know, you can play multiplayer, but it's only on your game system. You know, your friend would have to come over to your house and play the game on your system. You can't play multiplayer online anymore. That would piss a lot of people off, right? And it's only because Pokemon has never done that before that it doesn't piss people off. You know, Pokemon's never had that option, right? But I mean, it's not really that awesome if you think about it, because I mean, sure, it's kind of overpowered as hell, because if your friend does come over to your house and you double team the shit out of every Pokemon trainer that you fight, it's a little unfair, don't you think? Like, I mean, they showed in the trailer a 2-on-1 handicap match with a Venonat, and I was like, why? Like, what's the point? You can beat this game easily by yourself. And the other thing is, like, it would be so much cooler if you could multiplayer online. If your friend could be like, because a lot of people, including myself, don't have friends necessarily right next to them at all times, you know? And it would be just really cool to be able to be like, hey, you know, friend literally halfway across the world in freaking Russia or somewhere, you know, why don't you hook up, connect with me, and we can play some multiplayer right now, you know? And not only that, but they could use their own Pokemon. They don't have to fight the same mons as me. They could just be in my game basically, or vice versa. It's kind of confusing on how that would work. I agree, but still, you know, there's something that they something there that you could still do. And not only that, but it is Pokemon decided not to put that into the game. I mean, because you have multiplayer, but they chose not to put the online multiplayer in the game. That seems to be a little obnoxious, at least in my perspective here. Um, I wish that they could do something with that. I also don't like Pokemon Go being incorporated into the game. Um, right now, it seems like Pokemon Go will let you transfer your Pokemon to the game, and it goes into Go Park or whatever it's called. So that part of it confuses me because if you can transfer your Pokemon into the game, but they just sit in a park and you can't use them, then there's absolutely no point in you transferring them to the game in the first place. I mean, think about it. It doesn't make any sense because if you could do that, that would be overpowered as hell. You could just be like, oh, here's my level, 100 Charizard, bam, or whatever CP transfers to in terms of levels, which I mean, there's no way to know for sure what that is. I don't know what the max is if there is a max number of CP that you can get for it. But it's also a desperate attempt to try and save a dying game. Like, sure, the game's developed a lot over the last, 2 years when everybody stopped playing, but the mechanics, the base of the game is still the same, and that is why so many people quit the game or stopped playing consistently, is because the game's kind of stupid, really. And in my opinion, if you could just throw a Pokeball at a Mon in this game, like it doesn't show you fighting the Mon, you just toss a ball at it and hope it catches, like that's kind of stupid. It takes away a lot of game mechanics and a lot of the strategy of catching Mons that you had before. Now, sure, a lot of the time catching Mons kind of sucked in past games. You know, you could paralyze it, get it down to 1 HP, and you still couldn't catch it. But in this game, you just have to throw the Pokeball, and then maybe they'll probably catch it if you do it well enough. And then if you have another person, apparently you can throw two Pokeballs at it at the same time, which makes absolutely no sense because I feel like that would literally tear the Mon apart completely and negate, the whole catching the Mon part. So there's that. Also, I've said some of these things in a previous vlog, but I have to mention it again. Why Kanto? Why why are we going back to Kanto? Why? I don't understand. I know that you made this new movie that takes place in an alternate dimension, I guess, because that's just the cool thing to do nowadays. Fate did it, you know, everything's doing it nowadays. You got freaking God knows how many shows that are like this is just an alternate dimension, and that's it. That's that's how it goes. Now alternate dimension, this person takes over. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why? Why start this over? Like, I get it. I get that you want to be like, you know, this is a remastered version of the first episode of Pokemon, but that's a really short episode, so we're going to make it cool and we're going to just completely redo everything. It just, it just bugs me so bad. Like, not to mention, I know it's been a long time since Kanto was redone, but by the gods, dude. Like, remake Pearl, remake Diamond. Like, don't do a remake for that matter. Like, do something else. I know it's been a really long time since. Okay, not a really long time. It's been a little bit since we had the ORAS come out, which was, God, that's like 4 years ago, right? 2014, 2015, something like that. A while ago. Um, maybe a while ago, nonetheless. ORAS came out, and it's just, I just feel like they could do so much better than just to be like, hey, we're in Kanto again. Now, I'll eat my words if this is different. Now, if this is a unique game that is completely different from the original series, then you know what? Why not? Hell, if this is not a remake, if this is not an alternate dimension, but a sequel to Sun and Moon, that would be pretty dope, in my opinion. I mean, think about it. They have a chance here because Lily or Gladian, Ultra Sun and Moon, and Gladian went, and then in Sun and Moon, Lily went, right? You could potentially, have one of them show up in the game. I was kind of hoping, like, if this was in Kanto, this is before the game trailer came out. I was like, well, if they go back to Kanto, what if we got to play as Lily or Gladian as the main people at the start of the game? And they decided to start their adventure or whatever. So you got a brand new Pokemon. Lily would be easy to explain at the end of Sun and Moon because she didn't have any Pokemon at the time. But Gladian, you could just say that he left his type null over in Alola, and you could get things going easily. Like, how cool would that be to start the new Kanto game as Gladian or Lily and go through the region that way in kind of a post Alola gameplay? It would be really cool if they made an appearance in the game, or this could be years later. Maybe Lily turned out to be a badass and she, you know, has a gym there or something. That would be super cool. Or there's so many options that they could go with, and there's still so much that has yet to be announced. Uh, some things we'll probably won't even find out until the game actually releases in November, which surprisingly is not even that far away. Um, but there's still a lot of things that I'm hoping will happen. But if this is legitimately just going to be a remake, it's going to kill a lot of things. Obviously, I'm going to buy it because it's Pokemon and the graphics are impressive. There's another thing that bugs me about this game, and that is going to be Nuzlocking. So, over the last, I want to say 5 games, let me see, X and Y, ORAS, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon. So I think there's only been 4 games that have come out since X and Y, right? Including X and Y. That is when I decided to do Nuzlocke as my first playthrough because the game is usually pretty easy. Ultra Sun and Moon was hella difficult. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen other people Nuzlocke the games on here. I don't have a 3DS capture card, but Ultra Sun and Moon was a very difficult game, and it's going to be interesting to see if Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee is going to be different because it was obvious that Ultra Sun and Moon was made for the veteran gamers. Like the way that they set it up, the way the strategies worked, the way that everything went, it was definitely aimed towards the older players, the people who have been playing since Blue, Red, and Yellow, or Blue, Green, and Yellow, depending on which country you're from. So the names also throw me off. It makes me think that this is not going to be geared towards us older players and more towards the younger. I don't want to say new fan base because really the only fan base they have is the fan base that they've built for themselves. They don't really have a new fan base per se because once someone, you know, if I had a kid, my kid would like Pokemon probably because I would keep talking about it. I'd play it. They'd probably grow up playing it. It's legitimately just like a traditional thing now. It's kind of like certain chocolates and things that have been around forever, like Hershey's and Reese's. Like the reason that I like it is because I was introduced to it by my parents and so on, you know what I mean? So the problem is that with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, Nuzlocking is going to become too easy. Unless you choose to make it difficult, but it's really hard to actually make that choice. For example, you know how you can walk around all the time and you only encounter Pokemon when you actually touch them. That is an example of why Nuzlocking is going to be a lot easier because think about it this way. You walk into the first route, you see a Zubat, or I don't know what they're going to have if this game's going to be a little different or whatever. Let's just say they have a Zubat, you got a Rattata, you got a Pidgey, and you got a freaking Pikachu. And you're playing the Let's Go Eevee game. You're like, I want the Pikachu as my first encounter. Walked right to the Pikachu, bam. Okay, sweet, we got ourselves a Pikachu. You know what I'm saying? Then you could just be like, well, okay, I have a normal type and I have an electric type now, and you go on to the next route. Flying type would be good. So here, let's go grab Pidgey. And then you go to the next route. Well, I mean, let's see, out of the bug type Pokemon and stuff, we'll go with this Mon. You see how this kind of becomes a problem because then you have the well-balanced team, you have exactly who you want, and I highly doubt that the game's not going to respawn Pokemon as you go and enter and exit the cave. Potentially, you can enter a cave and then be like, well, I don't really want any of these mons. You can leave, then you can come back, and who knows? There could be a different Pokemon there. You could be like, oh, well, that Ponyta wasn't there before. I want that one. Bam, there's my Ponyta. It makes the game ridiculously easy, especially in that sense. And not to mention, if it's geared towards younger players, like the name suggests and how it seems to indicate, if it's really geared towards younger players, the game's going to be easy in general. It's kind of like X and Y. X and Y was geared towards younger players. That's when they had introduced the experience share for all of the Pokemon in your party. That's when the gyms and whatnot were really easy. I went through X and Y in a Nuzlocke and lost one Mon on the Elite Four champion. And it was my own fault. You know, and Sun and Moon was relatively easy. I only lost one Mon in Sun and Moon as well. Ultra Sun and Moon was a lot more difficult. They decided to make the game aimed towards older players, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. So I could blab about this game for a while, but I think that's about everything that I really want to talk about. So I'm going to let you guys go, and thank you so much for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts about these games that I've been talking about in the comment section down below, and click that likes button, and I'll see you next time.